President Obama is now traveling the country to push for the disastrous Trans-Pacific Partnership deal. This is according to Politico. The White House is organizing 30 events over the congressional recess to gin up support for the agreement, for the multinational trade agreement, so that it gets passed in the lame duck session of Congress. Now, Politico writes, the strategy is to offer support and cover to the small flock of Democrats who supported the legislation to fast-track the deal, and to remind wavering Republicans that they oppose it at their own peril because of its strong business support. Strong business support. You know, that's kind of the reason why Democrats shouldn't be pushing this bill. Not to mention the fact that it overrides our sovereignty as a nation and will impact regulations, including environmental regulations, food regulations, copyright protections, and even free speech through a global application of the DMCA rules. Democrats shouldn't be in favor of that. And yet, somehow, the Democratic Party under Barack Obama says, no, forward. Let's do this deal. Oh boy. Now, in fact, speaking of Obama, last month, he told a press conference about his intention to get this whole deal passed. He said, well, right now, I'm president, and I'm for it. And I think I've got the better argument. And I've made this argument before. I'll make it again. We are part of a global economy. We're not reversing that. Well, number one, you don't have the better argument. And to be honest, that's kind of a condescending statement. Now, I'm the president. I tell you what to do. I'm for this horrible trade deal. You think you're going to get impacted by it, and you probably will, but your voice doesn't matter because I'm President Obama. I got this. I love corporations. I'm a corporatist, and this is a very pro-corporate deal, and you're going to take it and you're going to like it. Well, no, I'm not going to take it, and I don't like it. Now, what makes this deal so bad? Well, according to some of the leaks that we've seen, is the investor-state dispute settlement clause. Now, that would allow a foreign corporation to sue the United States over laws that could impact its profit margins. Not only that, but high-paid corporate lawyers would end up going back and forth between representing corporations on this board and then one day and then sitting in judgment of a corporation the next. So basically, it's this revolving door of corporate lawyers who will represent a corporation one day and then the next day be in judgment of the entire thing. That's not good. That might work fine in the corporate world. But when it comes to corporations interacting with the state and deciding on things like, should we overrule this environmental regulation that prevents us from polluting your rivers or your air? Well, that's not a good thing. Who do you think they're going to side with? Who do you think they're going to represent? That's why Obama has a terrible argument, and that's why this is a terrible deal. But no matter how much the opposition, Obama doesn't get it. Why? It's because I said before, he's a corporatist. He should, and not only that, but he's staking his legacy on this entire deal. You see, this is priority number one for him. This is what his legacy is. Now, the problem is, since this is his number one priority, and since we've got a lame duck session coming up, we've really got to push to stop him from doing this deal. I mean, we've got to make some noise, right? It's up to us progressives to stop him from doing this deal. And look, if we want progressives to win in November, we've got to fight this. We've got to make sure this deal doesn't come through because this could hurt our chances. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Adam Green, head of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, also argues that this trade deal is going to hurt down-ballot Democrats in November. He says, quote, every week that goes by that Donald Trump is allowed to undermine voters' beliefs that the Democratic Party stands for working people and against trade deals written by corporations, that's another week that helps Donald Trump on this particular issue. Now, that is one thing that a lot of people have given Donald Trump credit for. He's been against this trade deal all along. So is Bernie Sanders. And the American people are with them on that trade deal. They do not want to see another NAFTA. And that's exactly what this is, but worse. Green's organization, along with liberal activist groups Democracy for America and Credo Action, recently set an online petition to an estimated 5 million members with the subject line, "Shame on Obama." Where is that?
Shame. Shame. Shame.
I did not get to that quick enough. Now, the White House, of course, is adamant that the failure to pass TPP would damage our credibility and leadership in one of the fastest growing regions of the world. The White House, according to a statement, said, as we've said all along, there are very real consequences of inaction of TPP, and we will continue to focus on that case. Without the TPP, we'd be losing out on an estimated $130 billion in additional income each year. Yeah, but at what cost? Besides, if you wanted to make up that $130 billion, all you'd have to do is tax Apple for its offshore holdings, who is right now hiding $181 billion in Ireland. Not to mention the other companies that are hiding a total of $2.1 billion overseas. Why not go after them? That's money that they owe, instead of making this awful trade deal. Oh, I know why. It's because he's a corporate Democrat. Now, not only is Obama going across the country to push this deal, he's also getting Treasury Secretary Jack Lew and Agricultural Undersecretary Alexis Taylor to go around the country and have meetings with business and agricultural leaders in order to generate positive local headlines. In fact, Lew met with Fortune 500 executives in Minneapolis earlier this month, while Taylor will promote the deal in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at the National Corn Growers Association Grassroots Leaders Summit. Now, see, that's the problem. He's going to talk to business leaders in order to generate positive headlines. Why not talk to the people? Why not talk to the people who lost their jobs because of NAFTA? Or the people who will be affected by the TPP? Why not talk to them? Oh, right. It's because Obama doesn't want to talk to them because that's not who his constituents are. No. The real people he serves are not the people, it's the donors. And the donors want this deal, and they want it bad. Now, the article mentions that the White House is also working to pressure Republicans. It says administration officials are holding events with business and agricultural executives to underscore that traditional GOP kingmakers are still our big TPP supporters despite Trump's populist anti-trade message. All right. So in all of this, with President Obama saying, hey, we're in a global economy, you can't be anti-trade. And then trying to underscore that, hey, Trump's anti-trade, but the GOP isn't. See, there's the misunderstanding. A lot of people who are against the TPP, we're not against trade. Trade is a good thing. In fact, we would like to have our exports go up. Right now, we've got an import deficit. We've got a problem with importing more than we export. Our biggest export right now, I believe, is weapons, guns. Oh, that's awful. We would like to fix that. We'd like to make sure that we actually have American goods that go to other places. Now, the thing is that we have to actually start making things here to send out. That's another problem, right? And that's a problem created by free trade. When there are things that can be more cheaply made in China, in India, in Vietnam, that can be brought over here incredibly cheaply without any sort of tariffs, well, that's a problem. That's a huge problem for American manufacturers. And see, that's the problem. With fair trade, you would have some sort of system in here to protect American businesses. Businesses that aren't multinational corporations, but home businesses that don't have the funds or the infrastructure necessary to rival these companies that will outsource to India and Vietnam. And that's the problem with free trade. Fair trade protects against that, and that's what we're in favor of. Progressives are in favor of fair trade. And I would argue that there are a lot of Republicans in the Republican Party, working class white people, blue collar workers. And I don't know, I was one of them. So I was a blue collar worker, even though I wasn't a Republican. I've worked with many of them who are not against trade, but want fair trade that protects their jobs. And that's what this is about. That's why we're against the TPP. And look, the fact that Obama is still ignoring progressives and working class people and is still trying to push this deal is troubling, to say the least. And it means that, unfortunately, we need to continue to ramp up the pressure on Democrats, on Republicans, to try to stop this disastrous trade deal from ever seeing the light of day. Hey everybody, if you like this video, then please like this video and share. And if you want to see more like this, then please hit that subscribe button below.